So we got that there. All right. I guess it's still talking overtime, right?
Yeah.
Special edition where the wheel is taking a rest because it's too early in the morning.
It is.
This is the intro too. Brian and I were talking back and forth, trying to line up a day where we can chat about a couple things that came out recently. And while we have the wheel, we wanted to make sure it landed on it and not cheat it. So the wheel is taking a nap, as we said earlier. And we're gonna talk Snake Eyes movie and the Masters of the Universe Revelation cartoon. So I haven't seen G.I. Joe yet, and I mentioned this to you in the chat where I haven't really seen anything since the first Transformers that Hasbro's put out, because I realized I kind of had like a realization that
the Shia LaBeouf one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I liked that one. I'm not gonna lie about it. But I'm like, all right. So where's M.a.s.k? This was what, 2008 when that came out. I don't even remember exactly. I just didn't want to invest the time in it, which I know sounds weird. It's a movie. You're sitting down on your butt and watching it. But I know I didn't miss much with the Transformers movies. Bumblebee I hear is good. I'll probably watch it at some point.
Bumblebee's good.
And then you have the G.I. Joe entity of this, Hasbro movie. I mean, I guess they were always Hasbro Paramount. And I haven't seen one of them. And I might see Snake Eyes when it's, on Amazon Prime, when I can rent it for $5.
It'll be free before long.
But that's we brought up the Rotten Tomatoes score. I can't objectively criticize it, but there's things that I can say about it. But I'm going to let you kind of walk us through like what your thoughts were on it, because you saw it, and this will be this could completely spoiler. So if Lisa's watching, just kind of turn away.
Yeah, this is gonna spoil stuff. So if you're really,
I learned after spoiling Baby Yoda's name.
Did we? You spoiled Grogu?
I spoiled Grogu for her. Yeah.
Oh man! Wow, you monster. No, like I've seen the first two G.I. Joes before Snake Eyes. If you look behind me, I have like a little G.I. Joe shelf over there. Like G.I. Joe's probably one, like M.a.s.k and G.I. Joe were my two favorites as a kid, with like He-Man right behind it. So when I have a weekend with He-Man and G.I. Joe stuff coming on, I'm kind of like, oh man, that's cool. And then both kind of left me like, whatever. I'm not aging out of it. I'm like surrounded by the toys and I love them. I'm like a 43-year-old guy with plastic in the basement. So I saw people going, maybe I'm just aging out of it, or maybe I'm getting too old for it. I'm like, I don't think I'm too old for a good story. But Snake Eyes is not a good story. That's the problem with Snake Eyes. Like, it's not the story that there's a story in there that could work, but number one problem with Snake Eyes is they make Snake Eyes the most unlikable hero of all time. He's impossible to root for. Not like he's a dark hero. Oh, he's got like a little bit. There's anti-heroes like the Punisher, where you're like, oh my God, he's murdering people and he's a monster, but you kind of get it.
Was it warranted murder? I mean,
yeah, but his motivations were so whacked, and not in the good whack like me, like in the bad way of whack, like where it was just like, oh my God, like
you say unlikable hero. When I saw Mortal
Kombat, he's not
a
hero. He's Snake Eyes in the comic is a hero.
When I saw Mortal Kombat, the character that was Scorpion's ancestor, I hated that character. I wanted him to like he got like the fancy chainmail because his special ability was to get beat up.
Yeah.
I just didn't like him as a character. I was like
the new Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah.
I still see, and the new Mortal Kombat, which I was kind of like, it's all right. Like, looking back,
it's not a spoiler.
Better than Snake Eyes.
I just found it to be so flat. I'm like, yeah.
Did you like that movie?
overall, I mean, would I watch it again? No, but I wasn't really disappointed.
Yeah, it's like the most average, forgettable movie of all time, and it's probably better than Snake Eyes, which
Hmm.
is sad because Mortal Kombat is like number 92 on things that I like from the year 1992. But what do you call it? With Snake Eyes, and again, spoilers. I'm sorry if you and don't be afraid about being spoiled for this movie. It's not anything where you're like, oh man, I thought this. It's not the Sixth Sense. You're not gonna be surprised or anything. It's everything comes from a mile away. But he sees his father gets killed at a young age, right? So his whole motivation, the whole movie, is to get his father's killer, which is some random dude with dice. It's not like a character in GI Joe history. Maybe it is. I'm not familiar with him, but he's just some dude who, like, if you roll the dice, you live or die. And then of course the dice come up Snake Eyes, and that's how he gets his name. And you're like, oh, okay. And then he spends the whole movie trying to get back to this guy who the Yakuza happen to find with no issues, and they have him hostage. So Snake Eyes continues to work for the Yakuza constantly. At one point, you think he's friends with Storm Shadow, but the entire time he's friends with Storm Shadow is just because he needs to get something that the Arakashage clan has. All right, I'm sorry, I'm butchering the word. I don't think I've actually ever said that out loud. I've just read it 100 times.
I think that sounded beautiful. So.
Oh, it's great. So like every single scene where he's training with the clan, like his motivation is to betray them at some point. Like where that was not the story in Marvel Comics. He was like an outsider learning their ways, and then Storm Shadow turns because their master is killed by someone he thinks is Snake Eyes, but it's not. It's Zartan. Which I don't care that they change the origin. It's just you have to make Snake Eyes motivations make sense. Right until the last 20 minutes of the movie, he's a jerk. He's betrayed the clan. Storm Shadow's the good guy. Everybody in that clan's a good guy. There's giant Harry Potter snakes halfway through, out of the blue. Just god awful. Just god awful. He falls into a snake pit, and the snakes are as big as they're as big as my street. And they're like to test if he's pure of heart.
At least good on it, like
they're all right. I mean, there's no way to make a believable 50-foot snake trying to eat Snake Eyes. I was like, what? It's nothing great.
yeah.
It's
So the
it's
tomato
bad.
score is 39.
39's high.
It's not that's audience score 74. And just by comparison, Jungle Cruise is 64%. And that has The Rock in the jungle. And he's been in 8,000 jungle movies. So
Jungle Cruise is Jumanji on a boat with a little bit of Disney stuff thrown in.
yeah, I mean, I'll probably watch it at some point just with Liam, but
Yeah, you know what that movie is already.
Yeah.
You need passage through the jungle. Well, I'm your guy, and this is the only boat that can do it. Oh no, adventures. Oh no, we figured out the ancient myth of Propagawa. Yay!
wasn't that? I thought that was the Snake Eyes plot.
No, the Snake Eyes plot is I'm a huge jerk. I'm gonna betray your whole clan. But at the end of the movie, I'm gonna redeem myself for no reason at all. He's like, I'm not working for terrorists because Cobra gets shoehorned in. Like the bad part is they have all the bones to make a good movie. The actors are good. The changing the origin isn't the worst idea, but they just make his character like you can't root for him. The whole time you're like, you're betraying the Arashikage clan, you jerk. Like the entire time.
And I guess this is going to be an attempt at X-Men Origins Wolverine type thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have they announced any other, like whatever origin they're going to do?
Have they announced any of the GI Joes?
Yeah.
This movie bombs so hard. I think they would step back plans. Honestly, I think this is a. Remember when IDW tried to kick off that Revolution thing and it didn't catch on and they scrapped it?
Yeah.
Like with M.A.S.K, ROM. You remember that?
Or the Dark Universe.
With Tom Cruise and the Mummy. Yeah, no, I think this is one of those. I think Snake Eyes Origins is going to be met with such poor reviews and word of mouth that you just single-handedly set G.I. Joe back again. Like they might try to make one more like they did with The Rock for that other G.I. Joe series, which right now looks like Empire Strikes Back. The second one I at least fucked out of going, oh, that was kind of fun, I guess. Snake Eyes action scenes, you were like trying to watch them, but the director was like, here, action, and he was moving the camera.
Cam going, yeah.
Yeah, oh, the shaky cam, dude. It was like he was on a roller coaster in an earthquake. You could barely see the choreography at times. You're like, come on, man. Henry Golding was good. Storm Shadow was good. Whoever that guy's name is.
Part of me wants it to not be good because I'm bitter and jealous at the fact that Hasbro is so scared, and that's the only word I can really use. They're all cowards for not actually taking a chance at something else.
If they don't have a script in place, I don't even want them to touch M.a.s.k.
But part of me also wants it to succeed, so they go, you know what? Let's just keep churning out. Oh, let's hit this other one here. Let's actually get F. Gary Gray that was announced 10 years ago to direct this movie. It's kind of a mixed feeling on that. I mean, I don't know. They had to have at least had a roadmap of the next one they would be doing in this series. I wouldn't mind like a Cobra Commander origin movie.
Yeah, no, I
think cool.
I'm a sucker. I'm gonna watch them all. Like when it was announced, I'm like, oh, I'll go see that. He-Man, the Master stuff. I'm like, oh, I gotta watch that. Even though I have people on my timeline who are like, yeah, He-Man's Friday. I'm dying. Midnight release. I'm gonna stay up all night. I was just like, when I wake up Friday morning, I'll put it on with breakfast. And I knocked it out before my kids were awake. I think. Snake Eyes, I went Sunday night by myself. First chance I got to go. Big popcorn, all excited. First like half hour, you're like sitting there, and then there's a point in the movie where you're like, oh, why did he do that? Oh, why did he do that? Like, he's not a hero. And I know they're trying to make him like, he wasn't the clean cut hero. He has like more of a dark past. And
Wolverine.
Like Wolverine, he was going around the country or the world fighting people, making money, and then moving on to the next town. Like that was his plot in the beginning. He's just a fighter. They barely have any
combat.
Yeah, he's just I'm gonna fight and keep on and move on town to town in search of the man who killed my dad. And then the accuser's like, we have the man who killed your dad, but you need to get this magical firestone from the clan, so you better betray them. And then after all the damage is done that Snake Eyes causes by giving the bad guy the rock,
not the rock.
After the giant snake scene, I got to be honest, I was checked out on that movie. I started to look at my phone a lot. I was staring at like the guys next to me reaction, seeing if they were interested at all. Like I was just like, is anybody here?
At random people.
I was just looking around, like looking at the light shining on people's faces, because I wanted to see if they were smiling or bored. Yeah. And when people walk out of a movie and they start talking about it, like, oh, that part. We walked out of that movie like we just attended a wake. Everybody was silent. Everybody was sad. Nobody was talking about it. There was no like buzz where you walk out of Endgame. People were like, yo, did you remember that scene with Spider-Man? Like this one, it was just like the next showing of the funeral the wake will be from 7 to 9 tomorrow.
Do you think it also could have been kind of a byproduct of the fact that we've all been stuck inside forever, and this was strictly theater release, and we're all wanting anything phenomenal to take our minds off of COVID and everything else along the lines, and maybe it just didn't live up that way. Is that something maybe you think, or is it just really bad?
I think this movie would have been, and it's not bad. It's not the worst thing ever. You can watch it in a way where
if you saw it streaming at the same time.
If I saw this on HBO Max, my thoughts would be the same way.
Or whatever it is, I think.
Yeah, if I saw this like I saw Mortal Kombat on HBO, I'd still feel the same way. But
but less depressed.
I would have. When you were walking out with people and everybody was just silent, like there was probably 30 people there, I'd say, maybe less. Sunday night at 8, there was at least 15. I was walking out. But everybody just kind of kids, adults, women, everybody, just not one person was like, yo, that was pretty good. Honestly, the best part of Snake Eyes was the trailers. There's some movies I really want to see coming out.
Well, I mean, that's good though. So what you just mentioned there, you had, the generations going to see the movie together.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You do have a chance to get kids. You do have a chance to get like new fans, guys like me. Bring my family, bring a friend, bring a girlfriend, whatever, a wife. But
I don't think your wife would like it if you brought your girlfriend.
I did. Yeah, no, I did pitch my wife to go see Snake Eyes with my girlfriend, and she said no. She goes, I don't want to see Snake Eyes. Yeah, no, like there's always an opportunity to introduce a new audience to the stuff that we like, which obviously I don't think they tried to do that with He-Man. Not to jump ahead, I think He-Man was made for us. It's what it seems like. But the Snake Eyes movie, I don't know who they're like. Snake Eyes #2 is going to need good word of mouth if it goes ahead, because the first one's just like it's somewhere between. It's right on the level of that second G.I. Joe movie with The Rock, which if you've never seen it,
Talked about
has
The Rock
moments.
a lot already. This is crazy.
We love The Rock.
I'm going to put a rock meter up on this one.
Yeah, this movie gets 3 rocks.
I mean, just times you mention them, I'll have to. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I'm going to edit through here.
Can you make our heads The Rock? I was hoping
to put a picture of The Rock somewhere, and it's just going to ding every time we go.
Maybe I'll try to get the Rock into the next
episode.
Mention
him 12 times here, so
I think that's how you summon The Rock. If you mention him, he just appears. It makes $8 million.
Jungle movie.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm trying to think of a movie that like was a really solid foundation for like I'll look at my DVDs. Like I was hoping for more like a Bumblebee feel where like new fans of Transformers are definitely made the day Bumblebee was released, because that movie was like the right level of quality of introduction to the story, of like there's a human element to it that's not stiff, where in a lot of Transformers movies the human element is like Megan Fox washing a car. But Bumblebee's
that's Michael Bay.
Yeah, but the Bumblebee movie, like I could see my daughter watching that, which she did, and she was like, Dad, is there another one of these? Where like I don't want to tell her like, yeah, but Megan Fox washes a car. Like she wants Bumblebee. Like I don't know if Snake Eyes is making my daughter go, Dad, is there more of this? Like that's the problem.
So we talked about the story. We talked a little bit about the surrounding elements. I guess the last thing I have a question on. So I know Snake Eyes is one of the most popular characters in the franchise. Is it the most popular?
On the Joe side, yeah. Guaranteed. Like, okay. Yeah, it's not even close. Snake Eyes is.
You take the most popular character, and it still doesn't really seem to work. Now, there's people who are going to like it, and who knows? I might like it if I actually watch it, which I won't. But it's troubling, to be honest.
Some people can't get past that his origin was changed from the comic books, which is not my reason for not liking it. You might even not see it like that because you don't know the origin from the comic books. So you might not, that doesn't even factor into your thought process, where I'm watching it, asking myself, is this better than what Larry Hama put down? Is it good in its own respect? And it's just, for me, total miss. Total miss.
So out of, let's give it a score out of, I guess Dwayne Johnson's. Out of 5 Dwayne Johnsons, how many?
5 Dwayne Johnsons. It's a solid 2 Dwayne Johnsons.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 2 Johnson movie.
So, what level is that? Is that Tooth Fairy?
Yeah, if you're lucky. It gave me 2 hours away from my family and obligations to being a father, where I could stare at a screen with popcorn and look at other people's faces for 45 minutes. So that's where 2 rocks up.
All right, so let's switch over to Masters since we both actually watched it. Okay. First trailer came out. I was pretty pumped about it.
Yeah, it looked good.
Hearing Mark Hamill, as you alluded, sounding like the Joker for Skeletor. I didn't mind it. At least the laugh was a little bit different. When you saw the I Have the Power scene, it didn't compare it to the original Filmation. But also, I mean, the animation is 8 trillion times better than the Filmation one.
Yeah, way better.
How many years later?
30.
The
40.
I don't know if you want to go like just kind of go through the whole thing in a just kind of a wave episode by episode. I don't. So the one thing I was really disappointed in with it, and I enjoyed the series and I liked the ending, and it's going to set up, I think, for pretty unique season 2, because I think that's already been announced.
Yeah, it's
I was disappointed that, and this is a spoiler, that Skeletor and He-Man were in it for the first episode and a little bit on the last one. Like,
yeah, they're seen in flashbacks in the episodes.
yeah, but
Yeah.
like continuing the story. I mean, the fight scene between them I thought was pretty epic. I thought.
Yeah, I have no issues with action. All that stuff was good.
And the one thing that people really had an issue with is the arc in the end, and how it's a Tila driven everything and all that.
Yeah, that's the most controversial thing that people have an issue with, is that it was more Tila centric, which wasn't even, as I was watching it, a thing. I knew people were gonna freak out because that's what people do. And if I see one person write, something about woke He-Man online, I'm already checked out. The minute I see them, the criticism is it's woke, I just know that I'm not gonna spend too much time discussing anything with them because they just don't listen. They're just screaming.
You're also reading something from a closed-minded person. So
Yeah, well, that's what happens, and then you're trying to like really be objective about why it's good, why it's bad. I'm not reading into the subtext of politics or wokeness or whatever. I look at something, I watch it, and then I make the decision based on number one, storytelling elements. Do I like it? Is it good? And the characterization of of these characters that we've known for 40 years now. So that's where I come from when I watch something. I don't sit there and watch it like, oh, there's no He-Man. This sucks. Like,
no, I watched it through. I was just disappointed. I was like, all right.
Yeah, it did feel He-Man light. I'm sure the second half of the season will be He-Man heavy because it's like kind of like spoilers, like Adam dies, He-Man dies, everybody's dead, and like if you're a He-Man, you're gone. But they do
When
they kill
Mossman died,
Mossman.
you get a little sad.
I was pumped. I was like, good, M.A.s.k 86 style. Let's start killing people. I like it.
I was like, no, Mossman.
And that's why I know this isn't necessarily for. They go like, well, this is also aimed at children. It's a cartoon. This cartoon is not aimed at children. This cartoon is aimed at 40-year-olds.
Castlevania series.
Yeah, this cartoon is aimed at 40-year-olds who sit here with toys surrounded them. They're killing Mossman. They're killing Trapjaw. They're killing Roboto, and he's like, I have feelings. Oh wow. Like the freaking
like Johnny number 5,
Yeah, like wow, the most typical robot thing. I have learned to love. Like, oh, yeah. How many times have we seen that story play out?
Oh, luckily,
yeah. My mom learned to love too.
T-Bob hasn't learned to love yet, so we're
no, yeah, that would be M.A.s.k. If I did M.A.s.k 87, T-Bob learns to love.
But he does it all incorrectly. The one thing I was really impressed with was the Evil Lynn character in this.
Yeah, she was great.
In the cartoon, it was the original, and I don't remember like the He-Man 2000 too much, like that iteration.
I watched it. It was good. It's one of those cartoons that doesn't hold my attention. I know some people love it. It just, to me, it's every episode. I was like, yeah, same thing. I'm good.
I just thought it was like I liked the fact that you saw her in a different light, and even in the end, she ends up going back.
And I think that's the whole in this story. She was like she can't resist Skeletor. Like she's weak-willed for Skeletor, and like
who isn't?
Oh yeah, makes my knees weak. But people were like, that's ridiculous. Evil Lynch. Second half of the season, I feel like it's so heavy-handed the way the story's being told that like Evil Lynn definitely will have a factor into like Skeletor's downfall. You can see her at the end like making the decision to like she'll do something that factors in.
Oh, Orko's dead. She was sad that Orko died.
And again, there's no body. Orko's not dead. You don't see a body. You're not dead in any sort of fiction.
But, not that he's gone, but like
yeah,
dying. She actually felt something for that, and
she was upset.
and
Yeah, the
you always
characters
see
had a
her,
little more weight than they did on the old show, which was
you see
nice.
her as a cold, callous, calculating person, and
Yeah.
and in this iteration, um, I thought it was really well done, and I liked the Tila character too. Tila wasn't second, third fiddle.
See, that's my issue. I didn't hate that Tila was focused. I hated that they made her so nasty all the time. Like,
Yeah, it was a
like
little.
she's constantly pissed off. And I know somebody brought up like Luke Skywalker was whiny and likable in Star Wars, which is true. But Tila like is a character that this is supposed to be a continuation of Filmation. She's never been like so
No, I don't
freaking
remember.
angry and pissed off, and like she's like, "You lied to me. Let the bodies rot in Castle Grayskull." Oh, King Randor, get the hell out of here, man at arms, you freaking liar. And then Tila's like, "I quit too."
That was stupid.
It was like Randor, the good King Randor, becomes
I
this like
don't think he's ever raised
monster.
his voice ever.
No, and he becomes a monster for the sake of they want to exile Man at Arms. They're telling this story, and Tila in that moment's like, "I quit. This sucks. I hate magic. Magic sucks." She's all pissed off all the time. She could have just said like, "You know what? If you're gonna treat Duncan like that, then I'm out of here too." Like she didn't have to be like, "I quit. All you guys lied to me. Wah, I'm gonna go hang out in this world forever." And like,
Who was the other character that she was with? I forget the name off the top of my head.
Andra?
Was that a character? That's a new character, right?
Andra's brand new. I thought they shoehorned a character in. They should have just made that somebody we're familiar with, whether it was Roboto, who's sort of like her brother in a way. They could have made it. I wish they would have made it Adam. I felt like getting rid of Adam. Maybe they could have like had He-Man's powers get taken away from Adam, and he's searching for them. And the whole arc was trying to get Adam back to He-Man, but then when he gets killed, it's like, whoa, now where do we go from here? I don't know. Like having the new character in didn't do anything for me at all.
The Adam character in this, I mean, in the original cartoon, I talked before about this. Like, I can't really go back and watch those original He-Man.
Old He-Mans it's a really.
I've tried, and I'll watch it with Liam for a little bit, but it's not something that I will.
That show was made for a 5-year-old.
And the Adam character wasn't thrilled with. I thought he was pretty whiny too.
Yeah. Oh, he was the worst. That cartoon was, not that this isn't made to sell toys in some respects, but that old cartoon's just the cheesiest cartoon of all time. And it has one redeeming quality is that the transformation sequence is like in your veins.
I think
like it's so good.
It's like the best 20 seconds of television you can get, I think.
When I was a kid, that is the best thing ever. The minute you hear He-Man and he starts turning into it and the sword. And one knock on this show is that it didn't really make me feel any special way. And I think the transformation sequence is a factor in that. I like the music throughout the show. It was good. At some points, I don't know if you ever played Final Fantasy VII. Mm-hmm. At some points, it almost felt like they were channeling a little bit of that music throughout like some of the episodes. And I was like, oh, this feels very Final Fantasy. I like the music choices. And then that transformation sequence, which is key, felt like really flat to me. I don't know.
I mean, I didn't hate it.
It didn't juice me up. It didn't give me any.
I would. So if they use that animation and somehow modernized the original, tune that goes through that, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I would have liked an update on that. If they would have saved one piece of music, I would have liked it to be that.
But it's going to be subjective in that sense. I said I didn't hate it, but it definitely doesn't compare to the original. And I'm not. I like Masters. I still have all my originals behind me here. Still my Grayskull and all this stuff, and it has a special place in my heart, but some of it is hard to digest on the old stuff. On the new one, in the beginning, the opening of it, would that faker trick actually work? Like, how many times did they use that in the original cartoon? I don't remember.
I don't know. Faker in the original cartoon, I think, was just a.
Wasn't he blue? Yeah,
no, he was blue in the toy. This TV show, he was skin colored like He-Man.
Okay.
And then he had like glowing eyes.
Like I was just like, oh, like when the scene opened up, I'm like, why is he riding that horse?
Yeah, Stridor. Fisto
I was like,
Tours.
that's weird. And I just kind of,
I was thinking, oh man, what happened to Battle Cat? Oh, maybe they're gonna tell something that happened, like because there was heavy stakes in this, like people could die. I like that.
everybody did. But
Like I like it. Right in my alley.
I mean, the first episode I think was the best one out of it. That's just what
I think first and the first and the last I found were really good. I love the Preternia stuff as a collector and a person who knows all the little Easter egg stuff. It was cool to see that. I don't want to say bored, but I was definitely like waiting for something good to happen for like episodes like 2 and 3 and 4. Like it felt like things were just not really sucking me in.
Well, yeah, you're not wrong there.
I felt like there was a real lull for a 2-hour thing. I felt like the middle hour was sort of like just a little bit like, oh, I hate magic. Oh, Tila, we have something very important to tell you. I don't want to listen. I'm going to stomp it out of here. And the voice acting was either amazing or just like jarringly off.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Cringer felt off to me. Tila was just very flat. And then everybody else, Mark Hamill, I'm not knocking him. I just know that Joker voice so well that I couldn't help but hear it in the Skeletor.
Yeah. It's like just listening to Kevin Conroy talk. Like that's Batman. Doesn't even matter what role he's.
Yes, exactly. Doesn't matter. Yeah, you can hear it.
Yeah. Even when Hamill does live action stuff, there was a medieval show he was in. I forget what it was called. It was on Netflix but when he was talking, I thought, if I remember correctly, it was a little more grizzled. I was like, I can hear it, type thing. So,
yeah, it's just in there.
And one thing to point out too with the toys, the packaging, the same person who did the artwork for the DVD sets, the Shout Factory and the Madman sets, did the toy packaging for the Masters toys.
Oh, really?
Donahue.
Mm-hmm.
And he I think you might follow him. I don't remember.
I know. I definitely know him.
He does a lot
but I know of him.
He's big, like a lot of the pop culture entities.
Yeah, he does like stuff for Super 7. Yeah, he's all over the place.
And it's really well done. And he's a huge Masters fan, so it was probably like I can only imagine like a really huge honor for him.
Artistically, I think this is as good as you can hope for. From getting, if you're a Masters person, looking at the characters, you're like, even the updates they did, with the Triclops, they have like the blue robes on there and like some kind of techno cult. Like, I have no problem. Like Liam Neeson, Man at Arms, they even snuck in the little samurai bun that they had, for him. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff that you're like, if that was M.A.s.k, I'd be losing my mind. Like, there's jungle version of Matt-Trakker. This is amazing. Like, but story-wise, like, and when I watch stuff, I watch it for the story. I just felt like some of the characters, like Tila, were unlikable. The jokes were like very Kevin Smithy, like a little cheesy for me. Like at one point, Tila, can Kevin Smith just write one thing where he doesn't have to shoehorn Star Wars into it? Just one. Like she's like, sorry about the mess, and throws like this pig man like a bag of coins, and that's exactly just like
she also said this, that's no moon, right? And
she might as well have.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, like it's like we get it. I remember Star Wars 2. We all remember it. Stop doing that. It drives me crazy how many times you get a callback. It's too heavy-handed with him, man. It's not.
I think we're both on the same page on this, and like
it was good. I hope the second half really makes it great.
One thing you really wished did happen in it, what would that be? Like, we talked about it a little bit here. I think
it feels incomplete, so it's hard to say because I have a feeling anything I say right now will be, taken care of in the second half of the season. Like
you're frozen. There you go.
You go. You were frozen for me. Anything I say, I feel like will be rectified second half of the season. Like I'm looking at my little He-Man shelf, not enough Fisto, Zodak, Stratos for me because those are like my 3 favorite Masters.
I think Fisto was in like one scene, wasn't he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like there's not enough.
He was running and then he punched something.
Yeah. Poof. Not enough of that. I think the second half of the season is going to be 90%
Stratos in there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, come on, he's like one of the original 8. Second half of the season is going to be heavy He-Man. There's no way it's not going to be. It's
The
a
heavy
freaking
He-Man,
show.
like he put on weight, or
No, yeah, he's gonna be huge. He's gonna be fat, kind of like Thor. No, but I think it's gonna be a He-Man story in the end, and I think Teela's gonna become the goddess and all that green skin stuff that everybody's looking forward to.
take over for sorceress, or
She kind of becomes a sorceress of
okay,
like kind of like becomes the green thing. She looks like the old Teela figure, but she's green, and she's called the goddess.
okay.
I think that's where they're headed. Because they keep trying to tell her that she has a destiny, but she's so rude and short that she just keeps stepping all over everybody's words. If I could change one thing, I would make Teela's reactions to stuff. She can get upset. She can, move on and decide she doesn't want to do. But there was a way to write that where she didn't come off like such a selfish, entitled brat. Like Adam's trying to explain to her something, and maybe they didn't tell you the secret of He-Man for your own safety. Calm down, buddy.
Oh,
And then Adam's dead, and she's like, you didn't tell me. He's like, I died. She's like, and we all had to live with that. It's like, oh, sorry, he died, protecting Eternia.
that was a weird line.
Like it's like, calm down. Like she's just unlikable. If Teela was written in a way that I liked her, I think I would have no issues with the show.
So the funny thing is that what you can do with this too is, as it was touted as a continuation of the Filmation
Yes.
line. Maybe Teela was holding that in the whole time. Maybe King Randall really secretly was a jerk. All these things that you.
I mean, he always was like, "I'm not proud of you, Adam. You little fool.
I hate you." There's elements that you could have made. You could take liberties with. Without maybe it being too drastically of a change where it's not believable. And I'm for change with things. Like you can't stay with the same thing forever.
I'm good with change. I don't want to see the Batman.
We didn't talk about the ending either. Where you got Skelegod.
That's cool. I have no problem with that.
And we speculated that was kind of why that was in the stores and you couldn't find anything else. For the line, but I have the power, and it was something I never thought I would see in that kind of fashion. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, if you want to keep us interested, you have to do different things. You can't just sit there and I'll get you next time, He-Man. How many times can you do that? Like it's boring. That's good for kids. If you really want to tell a story for an adult, it needs to have a little more weight to it.
And for me, I guess the one thing I really wanted to see more out of it was Skeletor. There's elements of him that are still shrouded in mystery. Prince Adam's
Don't you wish they just released the entire show at once? I think that's a big problem, and that's a lot of the backlash is that they released half the show, and everybody's complaints are
based off what they see half
like
the show was.
Yeah, and they're gonna sit here and scream about it. Not this is that. But the next 5 episodes probably not that you need to make them to shut anybody up, but the next 5 episodes probably rectify all the people's major complaints with the show, and then you just have good word of mouth instead of He-Man fans like this, that, the other. I mean, we live in a world now where you're like either screaming about something or you're just gonna
and He-Man
tune
fans
those people
too.
out.
By the way, you have 85 toy lines, so shut up.
Yeah, come on.
This is a m.a.s.k channel. We're talking overtime, but stop.
No. And that's the thing. I could sit here and say Snake Eyes was all right. He-Man was pretty good.
You're just jaded. You're jaded.
They got some. Look at that's what m.a.s.k is right there. Toys from the 80s that are just sitting on a shelf collecting dust because there's nothing new.
And I'm being hypocritical there too. So I will get the the He-Man and the Skeletor figure. How many He-Mans and Skeletors do I need? I don't. I did get the Origins, but now Liam and we play with those in his room.
Yeah, my Origins became fodder.
So I'll get those too, and that'll be it. Like I have a there's a clear line of where I'm gonna stop collecting something for, I at least have that line. Some people don't. And I'm mostly joking about, being jaded and everything, but there are so many blinds out there that you have those opportunities to really, really, fill out your collection of new things. And it's a good thing and a bad thing. I think we talked about this before.
Yeah, and collecting, it's just out of control right now.
There's a finite limitation of what you can do, and then there's, for the old stuff, and then you got the new stuff. So, but your collection's controlled. You have to send me the link where you got the stands from too.
Which ones?
The ones you have the Switchblade and Thunderhawk.
Oh, they're just doll stands.
Oh,
yeah. Some of them actually go to Dick Tracy dolls that I had, and I just pulled off the Dick Tracy logo.
I want to kind of redo the setup. Get some things flying around. So
yeah, it's fun. They have flight stands that are a little more expensive than I wanted to spend, so it didn't matter to me. No, I'm definitely jaded in the way that we're in this, like, and we've been trapped in it for like 5 years. A nostalgia fueled, everything aimed at anybody from 35 to 45 is all about what they liked as a kid. We are in a world where nothing new is being created that isn't tied to something you already knew. The Marvel movies, the Star Wars movies, they are banking on every Ghostbusters, you name it. We are nostalgia driven, and M.A.s.k is lost in the shuffle. So that sucks, because if anything's ever going to get made, it's happening now. We are in like the 80s. It's turning into the 90s a little bit boom, where like just like nostalgia fuels everything. And personally,
you're 100% right on that.
I'm surrounded by it. I'm a little sick and tired of everything being something. I'm almost excited for like a movie with a fresh idea where people can just go, oh, I enjoyed this, instead of comparing it to the 9,000 things that came before. And that's what makes watching stuff hard, is that I have an idea of what these characters are in my head, and so do millions of people. And then when you go against that, they start typing on Twitter and getting all steamed.
Nobody. I don't know if you've seen that yet.
No, it's Nobody. I don't even know what that is.
It's got Bob Odenkirk in it, where he's it starts out with him being just kind of stuck in a depressed rut, and you find out that he's what's called an auditor.
Mm-hmm.
And basically that's the guy who goes in for the government and just cleans up everything. Like,
okay.
And I thought it was a pretty neat story. Like, obviously there's always, there's stories of guys where they're seemingly invincible, although this guy, gets the crap kicked out of him a lot. It was nice to see something a little bit different.
Yeah, I need something fresh.
So it's a pretty good movie. You rent it for like $5. I think you would actually like it.
I love Bob Odenkirk. I was really upset yesterday when I heard he went to the hospital, and it sounded like something bad was coming.
It's got Christopher Lloyd in it too. So.
Oh, well, look at that. That's all good. No, even the comic that I'm working on, it's tentatively titled The Ugly. I'm just making it totally different than anything. I had a choice to make it.
You're making it look like Christopher Lloyd.
I was gonna do it. I have a comic in my head called Kill It with Nostalgia, which is basically all like mock-ups of like 80s toys. Like this guy goes into a coma, and they're trying to kill the tumor in his head or whatever it is, and it's all these, like, instead of Ninja Turtles, it's like, karate dinosaurs. I call them the karate saurs. And like it's like this guy kind of like fights the brain tumor in his head while he's in a coma with like all his 80s characters he grew up on. Like the first 5 pages are him like eating cereal, watching the shows, and then you see him become like a little kid to like a college kid to like an adult watching the same cartoons, and then the cartoons like help him kill the tumor. And I was just like, I don't even want to draw like these characters right now. I'm like burnt out on like the 80s aesthetic, so I'm gonna do something a little different. So I went with my Western, where cowboys drive horses that look like old cars, and then they just kill each other. I don't know, maybe I need therapy.
Yeah, you do, but that'll be another day. We have to wrap up here because
all right, wrap it up.
I have to still put in a work day here. So
not me. I'm going to Long Island's best water park.
In the comments, let us know your thoughts on our thoughts.
Yeah, please.
And
get involved.
What you thought too on Snake Eyes and the Masters cartoon, because everybody's different, and we value your opinions whenever they're given.
Yep.
So until next time, that's Brian. I am Bill. Thanks for watching Talking Overtime, and we'll talk to you later.